to be answered. Even, and I may want to add, there's another problem, and the Commission, I don't think, as part of its terms of reference, has addressed, but it's something that has unfolded as a result of an attempt to solve the CLICO fiasco by this current administration. And one of the things that we need to find out, what are the assets and liabilities of CLICO and CL Financial as we speak? That is a mystery right now. No one seems to be able to provide that kind of information. And that is going to be critical to any bailout plan that the government is trying to roll out as it relates to the over $75,000. And we also need to find out, is it a situation of you have the victims, who are the policyholders, being, and as far as I think I can say this without any contradiction, fear of contradiction, that they were robbed initially by and we will find out who and robbed them, but it seems as they're going to be robbed a second time, because this particular bailout plan is 0% over 20 years, 75,000 up front, and 0% over 20 years. As far as we are concerned, is highway robbery, because it means that those policyholders are going to get less than 50% of their money. And we are saying that that also needs to be investigated, because we want to know who came up with that plan, when was that plan hatched, who are going to benefit as a result of that plan, who's going to get their finder's fee, who's going to get their commission. All these are questions that we would want to introduce as part of this whole Commission of Inquiry. So the terms of reference may very well have to be extended, not only to what transpired in 2008, 2009, but what is transpiring as we speak.
Okay, yeah. Let's look at some of those terms of reference. One of them, to find out the circumstances, factors, and causes, as well as reasons leading to the intervention by government and central bank in January 2009. Another one, the legal and fiscal bases informing the decisions of government back in January 2009 to inject capital or funding into CLICO Investment Bank, British American, and Caribbean money market brokers. So those are just a couple of the key terms of reference. Other terms of reference, circumstances leading to the deterioration of the financial conditions of CL Financial and all the other main bodies that are going to be investigated, which threaten the interests of depositors, investors, policyholders, creditors, and the shareholders of said companies. And another of the terms of reference, the effectiveness or suitability of the accounting and auditing firms, the institutional, regulatory, and statutory bodies with oversight responsibilities, including but not limited to the central bank and the SEC. So the regulatory bodies are definitely going to come under the microscope.
Absolutely.
What could that mean for them as a result of this inquiry taking place?
And there's just one other party there that I think is also important, the role of the auditors. You had PricewaterhouseCoopers who were auditing their books year after year and signing off and saying everything was fine. They also have some serious questions to answer in terms of how they conducted themselves. So that clearly you have all these players in there who would have played some role that contributed to this debacle. And we need to know exactly what role did they play, or were they negligent in the discharge of their responsibilities, or they just simply looked the other way. So, I mean, this is, and I agree with you, Jesse, 6 months, now that I'm reflecting on it with all these players, I don't know if 6 months is going to be sufficient time to get all this information. And then there's the central figure of Mr. Lawrence Dupree, who is the chairman of CL Financial and CLICO. I think he has some very serious questions to answer. And I don't know whether he's going to come back to be subject to cross-examination and questioning and so on. And what is interesting, Jesse, is that being made a party, assuming that we are formally made a party this morning, because they just have to formalize the situation depending on what transpires at the commission this morning, we, the policyholders, or as the representative of the policyholders, we would have an opportunity to bring attorneys, to have attorneys represent us and cross-examine witnesses who are going to come before the commission. So you can have the specter of people like Lawrence Dupree, assuming he comes to be questioned. You can have the Minister of Finance, the former and the current Minister of Finance, being called in the witness box to answer questions. So it is going to be a very, very interesting Commission of Inquiry going forward, and we look forward to, representing the interests of the policyholders to the best of our ability.
In terms of the policyholders' fight, what's the status with that now?
Oh, well, thanks for asking that question. We are preparing full speed ahead for our litigation, our legal action. We have said in the past, and we continue to maintain that position until such time that that absurd and ridiculous 0% over 20 years plan has been changed. We are going to sue the pants off of this Minister of Finance because he represents the government. And when you're taking legal action, he is the person who is going to be sued. There's nothing personal against Mr. Dukaran, but he holds the office, and if you hold the office, you have to be responsible. So we are at the stage where we have actually selected our expert legal team, which comprises Senior Counsel Alvin Fitzpatrick, Mr. Jason Mutu, Attorney at Law, Mr. Adrian Byrne, who's going to be the instructing attorney, Ms. Lynette Sieberan-Sweet, well-known attorney at law. So we have a very expert and experienced team of attorneys who are going to represent our interests. There's only one little bugbear, which is we need to raise the fees to pay these expert attorneys, because you only get the representation that you pay for. And what I would want to say in this regard is that, and I want to let the policyholders know that to date, we have crossed the $500,000 mark in terms of raising these fees, but we are still a far cry off from the fees that we need to raise in order to get the kind of representation that we desperately need to win this case. So I would encourage them. I hope you're going to put up the account number. It's the Republic Bank account number.
Yes, could you call them out? The information.
I gave you. Well, I'll call it out in a while.
Okay, we have it on the screen now. It's Republic Bank Limited, account number 1601356204041.
Yes. And it can be any branch of the Republic Bank. You don't need to, the one closest to you.
It's interesting that you're using a bank that was part of the CL Financial Empire.
Well, we have absolutely no difficulty with Republic Bank. I think it's a well-run bank. It's very profitable and so on. And we would want to see it continue that way, so that we are also going to make sure we protect, because a lot of our policyholders bank with Republic Bank, and we're going to ensure that they continue in that vein. So that I would want to encourage those policyholders who have not yet made their contributions. It's 1% of the value of your policy that we're asking people to contribute. Policyholders will have an opportunity to recover that cost when we win the case, because I want to assure them.
You're not saying if?
Not if. It's no longer if, because information have come to the fore since we had even indicated that we were going to court. That is going to put this beyond the pale in terms of winnability. But obviously I'm constrained. I cannot disclose that information now. You don't want to put all your chips on the table, or show all your cards at this stage. But I want to assure policyholders that I am giving them the assurance that there's absolutely no way that we can lose this case. It's a question of when we win the case.
Okay, so that account number again, 1601356204041. Also, if someone wants to get more information, where can they email you, and where can they call you?
They can email me at clico.policyholders@gmail.com.
Okay.
Or they can, yes.
Okay, we have the addresses up on the screen.
Yes, those are the email addresses.
clico.policyholders@gmail.com or efpa.policyholders@gmail.com.
And we also have a website, www.clicopolicyholders.com. So you can also visit the website.
All right, so the website, www.clicopolicyholders.com. You can also call at 622-8624. That's 622-8624.
Yes, 24, yeah. So that's, so feel free to contact us. We are, we are really enthusiastic about going forward with this legal action. And we know that we are going to prevail in the end, because clearly what is going on here is unjust. It is unfair to the policyholders. It should not be allowed. And I hope the government will have a change of heart, and we will get this thing right, because I've always said that we need to have a negotiated settlement. You cannot have a position where you're trying to force a proposal down the throats of the policyholders.
Okay, Mr. Pamel, we're going to have to leave it there for now, but we expect to see you back on from time to time, now that the inquiry is starting.
I'll be happy to come back.